4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Stop. Go Falcon, go Dragon. Godspeed, Axiom 1.
One small step for man, one giant leap for commercial space travel. The first private group of citizens successfully launched into space today. The group is heading to the International Space Station on a 10-day mission. Thanks for joining us. I'm Luann Sorrell. John will join us from New Smyrna Beach coming up in just a moment. But first, we have live team coverage of the historic Axiom launch. Matt Trezza spoke with excited space fans on the coast. But we start with Fox 35 anchor Ray Vieta. He had a front row seat to all the excitement and is live right now at Kennedy Space Center. Hi, Ray.
Hi there, Luann. You know, it was exciting to have a front row seat to this historic launch. We're right across the basin from where it happened, and while the noise wasn't intense, when you heard those engines rattle, you could really feel it right here. That crew is now on their more than 20-hour journey to get to the International Space Station, and tonight we're learning what they'll be doing once they get there. On a picture-perfect Friday.
3, 2, 1.
A nominal launch. That's space talk for everything went as planned.
Godspeed, Axiom 1.
4 men now on their way to the International Space Station. Commander Michael Lopez Alegria, a former astronaut and VP of Axiom.
I'm Michael Lopez Alegria, and I'm the commander of AX-1.
Also on board, 63-year-old Eitan Stiba, an investor who has flown combat missions for Israel. 71-year-old Larry Connor, an entrepreneur who is now the second oldest person to go into space. And Canadian investor Mark Pathy, the 11th Canadian to enter space. Each reportedly paid $55 million for a seat on Axiom's AX-1. Their day started early, waking up at 2:30 a.m. Just before 8 a.m., they donned their suits. After over 2 weeks of quarantine, they waved goodbye from a distance. With SpaceX helping them get there, they hopped into Teslas bound for the launch pad. Before loading into the capsule, they signed their names on a wall at the end of the walkway. It's a tradition dating back to the early Apollo missions. Then a closeout crew helped them strap in for their more than 20-hour ride to the ISS. When they arrive, it will be all about orientation, getting to know the International Space Station.
They get familiarized with the actual equipment on board, the toilet, the food preparation area, things that they will need for daily living.
Once on board, the next several days will be about research that could benefit us on the ground.
I can tell you that there's stem cell and cancer-related research going on. There's aging research going on.
A historic mission, but one of many NASA expects to launch from the Space Coast.
We're aiming for, potential for 2 private astronaut missions a year.
So this is really just the beginning. And while we got a front row seat right here, this area where I'm at here at the Kennedy Space Center was mostly media, but a lot of folks made the trek over to the Space Coast to get a view of this beautiful blast off. Fox 35's Matt Trezza introduces us to some of those folks.
As the Axiom rocket climbed into the sky, Franklin Landskroon was amazed. The Dutch native's dreams of seeing a rocket launch finally came true.
I loved it. It was very cool to see.
Landskroon was one of hundreds who lined up on Titusville's Max Brewer Bridge to watch the historic launch. Many wanted to share the out-of-this-world experience with their families.
The rocket launch was supposed to go off on Wednesday, and it got pushed, and we were going home, and we changed all our plans and stayed longer so we could see it.
Even a pod of dolphins showed up in the waters of the Indian River just before the launch, as if they too wanted to see history in the making. For some, it was their first rocket launch. For others, one of many. But all of them agreed that it's been amazing to see America's progress in space.
I think it's great. It opens up space, opens it up for private industry. The whole goal of NASA was to privatize it. That's where we got Velcro from.
And they say the historic flight means that more great things could be in store for the Space Coast.
Back in the day, maybe the space shuttles were fairly frequent, but then there was a span of nothing happening, and now it's happening all the time, which is great for space, great for the industry, and great for the community.
In Titusville, Matt Trezza, Fox 35 News.
So here's what happens next. The Dragon crew will arrive. The light just blew out. The Dragon Endeavour will arrive to the International Space Station and start docking around 7:30 tomorrow morning. The hatch will open, and the civilians, I was going to say astronauts, the civilians will then go on board the space station and start their orientation and start to figure out how everything works there. Luann?
Light or no light, Ray, you still look good. But I have a question for you. This is your second live launch, if I'm not mistaken. How did this one compare?
Okay, Luann, so it was really exciting, but I got to tell you, the news nerd in me was more excited about this little nondescript building that you see right behind me. That right there is where the journalism greats like Walter Cronkite used to broadcast from the early Apollo missions. So that little building is what's left of what was a grandstand. So for the little news dork inside of me, it was so exciting to see that building and think, wow, all of the greats before us were broadcasting from right here where I am, seeing that.
And now the up-and-coming greats like you, Ray, are still there reporting on rocket launches. You did a great job out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luann.